Alfred, why is the US suddenly moving more military assets near Iran? Are we heading toward another war?
The US isn't suddenly doing anything. This buildup has been happening in slow motion, the kind of slow motion that only becomes visible when it's too late to stop. Washington calls it deterrence. Tehran calls it provocation. But for the average American, the correct term is a future spike in gas prices. The military doesn't move carrier groups for fun. They move them when the probability of escalation is no longer theoretical.
But why should I care? Iran is far away. This has nothing to do with my life.
Distance is irrelevant. Oil markets don't care about geography. They care about fear. A single missile exchange in the Persian Gulf can add $20 to $40 to the price of a barrel of oil. That translates into higher gas prices, higher shipping costs, higher food prices, higher airline tickets, higher inflation, delayed interest rate cuts. In other words, a conflict 6,000 miles away can cost you $300 to $500 more per month without a single American soldier firing a shot.
So is this about protecting Americans or protecting oil?
Let me put it this way. If the Middle East produced kale instead of oil, the U.S. Navy would not be there. Every administration, Republican or Democrat, has the same unwritten rule. Energy security is national security. And national security is always funded by the American consumer, whether they realize it or not.
Why is this happening now? Aren't we already stretched thin with Ukraine, Taiwan, and everything else?
Exactly. That's why it's happening. When global power is stretched, adversaries test boundaries. Iran sees U.S. attention divided, Europe exhausted, Russia locked in a stalemate, China watching quietly. This is the perfect moment for miscalculation, the most common cause of Middle Eastern conflicts.
What's the worst-case scenario for the average American?
Not war. Uncertainty. War is predictable. Markets can price it in. Uncertainty is chaos. It's the invisible tax that drains your savings without ever appearing on a bill. Worst case for you, inflation rises again, the Fed freezes rate cuts, mortgage rates stay high, credit card interest climbs, job growth slows, wages stagnate. You won't see explosions on TV. You'll see them on your monthly statements.
So what's the real story here, Alfred? What's the part nobody wants to say out loud?
That the U.S. isn't preparing for war with Iran. It's preparing for the consequences of a world where every region is one spark away from crisis. And the average American is stuck in the middle, not as a soldier, but as a payer. The global order is becoming unstable, and instability is expensive.
So what should Americans expect next?
Expect officials to say everything is under control. Expect markets to pretend nothing is happening until they can't. Expect politicians to blame each other. Expect your cost of living to rise before the headlines catch up. And expect this. In the modern world, foreign policy is just domestic economics with better lighting.
This all sounds very alarming. Let me ask you one last question. Was there any way for the US administration to stop such a dangerous development in the global situation? I heard that during the 12-day war, Israel sent an air squadron to strike Iran's leadership, but the US intervened and halted the mission. Is that true? And could something like that have changed where we are today?
History is full of dramatic stories about last-minute phone calls, intercepted missions, and leaders saving the world. They make great headlines, but they rarely explain the deeper reality. The truth is simpler and less cinematic. No single administration, past or present, can stop a geopolitical trend that has been building for decades. The Middle East didn't become unstable overnight. Iran didn't become assertive overnight. And the global system didn't become fragile overnight. Even if a dramatic intervention happened, or didn't happen, it wouldn't change the underlying forces. Regional power competition, collapsing deterrence norms, proxy conflicts, shifting alliances, economic pressure points, global fatigue with endless crises. These forces are bigger than any one president, any one phone call, or any one operation.
So what?
Could a different decision have delayed today's tensions? Possibly. Could it have prevented them? Unlikely. And that brings us to the uncomfortable conclusion. The U.S. isn't reacting to a single event. It's reacting to a global system that is slowly losing its shock absorbers. Which leads us directly to the next episode, because the same structural forces were visible in Russia's attack on Ukraine long before the first missile was launched. If you want to understand Iran, you have to understand Ukraine. If you want to understand Ukraine, you have to understand the new world order forming in real time. And if you want to understand what it means for the average American, you follow one thing: the economic pressure building beneath every geopolitical headline.
Okay, the next episode is about the impact of the Russian-Ukrainian war on Americans.